Welcome, everybody. My name is Jim Petruski. I have been working over here with Computer Helper for about the last 10 years or so. Many of you are familiar with us here at Computer Helper Publishing. We have been here since 1986 producing church management software. We used to be an old green screen program called LCCS back in the DOS days. We rebranded ourselves in 1995 as Church Windows, and we have again been producing church management software ever since that time. We currently have over 12,000 client churches around the country and around the world using our software. The production, design, and support of Church Windows is our sole focus over here with Computer Helper. Again, my name is Jim, and I am coming to you from a sunny but chilly day here in Columbus, Ohio. And I am very excited to be able to bring you a introductory webinar concerning our new donations module, which is going to be debuted soon when we release version 15 of Church Windows. So I will be coming to you running a beta version of our Church Windows program. So that is this is our version 15.3 that we're going to be working with here today. Soon, before the end of the year, we are going to be coming out with our full version of Church Windows version 15. And when you install version 15, I want to take a couple of minutes to say some things about the donations module up front before we take a look at it here. When you first install version 15 of Church Windows, if you are currently a customer and you're using the contributions module for Church Windows, you will still be using the contributions module. You can feel free to go ahead and install version 15. It will update you to that version, but you will still be running the same contributions module that you were running before. It is a matter of once you're on version 15, you will have the option of converting your data over to this new donations module. So you can install version 15 with confidence. It's not going to thrust you into this new version of the program automatically. Now, when you get to the point where you do want to convert over to this new donations webinar, or this new donations module, pardon me, and I have no reason to believe you won't want to once you take a look at how awesome it's going to be, you will need to make sure if you own the accounting package of Church Windows. If you're on the older version of our program, which is still called Financial, you will be unable to convert over to donations. You must be converted over to this version of our program called Accounting. So this little button right here needs to say Accounting before you'll be able to convert over to donations. But once you are ready to go, you'll be able to convert to it and take a look at the new features that we're going to be taking a look at here today. One other thing I kind of want to let you guys know about ahead of time is that we no longer are running in a specific set contribution year in our donations module. So there's no longer going to ever be a need to run an end of year procedure in the donations module. Kind of all of your data is going to be available to you at all times. You will set date ranges for any pledging that you have set up in the system, date ranges for envelope numbers and things along those lines. I will show you those features as we go. The other thing I want to point out right in advance here is our security has been beefed up. Church Windows, the program, you can set it up so that it requires a unique username and password for somebody to get access into the program here. And we're going to have a very granular type of control to access to the donations program, the donations module. So you'll have all of these different levels, whether it's specifically for giving accounts, giver numbers, donations, entering donations, etc. And the cool thing that in addition to having this level of control for access to the program is going to let you do is now we've got auditing in terms of data entry over in donations. So what that basically means is if you're looking at the transactions that have been posted into donations, you're going to be able to see who was logged into the program when that got posted. So we're going to have a more secure audit trail now with our donations program. We're going to know who was logged in when things got posted. If something gets reversed in donations, you will have a history of that in there. So that is going to be one of the updates that you're going to see there. All right, let's go ahead and open up donations and we'll see what we will see there. This is our opening image map for our donations module. Folks who have used the accounting module in Church Windows will already be familiar with sort of the overall feel of this screen. The way navigating around donations works is we've got this opening image map, which is this section in the middle of our page here, with shortcuts where we can launch the most commonly used part of our program. So we can enter donations by clicking here, browse donations, printing our donation statement, etc. right here from our opening image map. We also have what's called a context-sensitive ribbon bar along the top of our window up here that changes based upon which tab you have selected along the top. So here's our donations tab. Here are all of the options we have available there. You click a different tab, in this case accounts and pledges, and the buttons that are available are going to change. So that is kind of a little bit about how you navigate around donations. The other thing I want to point out there for folks who haven't used this interface before is that you have the ability to have multiple windows open at the same time. So if you're in the middle of entering a donations batch, for example, and you want to go take a look at your manage givers window to take a look at, something along those lines, you no longer have to close out of a window to open up another one. You can have multiple windows open at the same time. So it's really handy to be able to navigate the interface in that way. So I just wanted to make sure that I spent a moment to kind of show overall the way we navigate around on here. Entering donations is where I want to start with actually showing you the functions of our new program. People who have used our contributions module probably are already sold about the ease of entering contributions into that system. I am very pleased to announce that we still have retained that very simple functionality and the ability to enter these donations in quickly into your system here. The interface, of course, has changed a little bit here. When you're looking at this window, I'm going to draw a little line right here. When you're working in this Enter Donations window, up above this line here is the donation that you're currently working on to enter that into your system here. So you'll be entering all of this information up here at the top. When you add it to your batch, it will go down here below the line where you will see a list of all of the donations that you've already entered into this particular batch here. So a little bit different in terms of the interface, but it has the same ease of entry that we're already accustomed to here. So we start by up here in the corner here entering our donation date. Sunday's date here was the 11th. We have the ability to use our batch codes as we have before. Let's go ahead and record this as an early service. This allows you to separate multiple batches that might have been multiple services, pardon me, that may be held on the same day for reporting purposes and things along those lines. Okay, now this screen is designed to allow you to enter all of your donations into the system. And you can use simply the number pad on your keyboard to enter all of this. You can literally enter donations into the system with one hand tied behind your back. Or in this case, if you have like a receipt that you're working with, you can just use that one hand to enter that in here. So we can start over here with the giver number. I'll go ahead and enter for giver number 1. You just simply type that number in here and use the enter button on your keypad here. Come over here to enter your amount, hit the enter key to come down here and record your payment method. If you are recording it as a check, you will need to record a check number in here. Now when you get down here to the account pledge, where you're recording which of your giving accounts you're actually recording that pledge into, you can either use your thumb on the arrow keys to scroll up and down for all of your existing giving accounts, or you can simply type the number in. and record that to missions. When you're ready to add a particular contribution to your batch, all you do is use your thumb and use the end key next to your number pad. You'll see right down here when you're all set, you can use the end key to maybe use the end key to record that in here. And you'll see that plop down here in your batch section down here below. Another common question here is if I do have a giver with a check, let's say Linda here gives me a single check for $100, for example, that they want divided into multiple giving accounts. Very simple to do that. Let's say $50 of it goes to the general pledge. I can simply record that here. Just hit the enter key on my keyboard and it will put that line of the pledge down below here, and it allows you to enter the other side of that gift on here. Simply hitting your end key will add that to your contributions batch. You'll be able to see all of the details of that on here. You do not need to always use giver numbers in the system here. You have the ability to record giving by groups. As you'll see here, we have groups set up here. Here's our men's fellowship group set up here in our database. When you convert from contributions over to donations, all of your groups and classes will automatically convert over and allow you to record gifts to those. Let's say our men's group fellowship held a barbecue lunch to take money in for, let's call it missions here. Now, unfortunately, whenever you get that group of guys together, they are too busy eating the barbecue, so they took in $28.45. But it's the thought that counts. So you do have the ability to record. Let's go ahead and record that as cash. And we'll record that to our, like I said, our missions. So we do have that ability now to record giving to groups and classes. The other thing I also want to point out here, if I click on my down arrow, you're also going to see a number of folks here who you can record giving to who don't have an envelope number, or as we call it, a giving number now here in donations. You now have the ability to record giving for folks, and you do not have to assign them an envelope number anymore here in donations. So I can go over here to Heidi Mendel, even though she does not have an envelope number, and I have that ability to record giving from her. Okay, so it's just as easy as it ever was to enter our contributions here in the donations module. You'll see all of our unposted donations listed down here. We have a couple of different views we can use there. The other thing I did want to point out while we're on our enter donations window is for our pledging churches, we do have the ability to show our pledge giving screen as we're entering in. If I come over here, let's go ahead and record it. For the Huxtable family here. Let me go, whoops, timeout. Okay, and it will open up a pledge giving window. If he had pledged, we'd see that pledge listed right down here. Let me see if I can find somebody who actually has a pledge on their record. There we go. So if they do have pledging on this pledge window, you'll be able to see all of that information about the way they pledged right here, and you can kind of distribute accordingly here. Alrighty. Once we've got everything kind of taken care of in here, we have the ability to print our batch and error check what we're working on before we actually go ahead and post that. All of this can be edited before we actually go ahead and post our contributions batch in here. Simply editing that, it'll show up back again like I was showing you before. It'll come back up here to the top portion of our window where we're actually working on a particular gift that we're working on. So if I wanted to edit this and say instead of $50 to the general pledge, I can come over here, change that, pardon me folks, change this to say $75 on this line, change this to $25 on this line, add that back into the batch with the corrected total, so we can edit those before we post them. All right, now one of the cool things that you do with your donations module here is you can link your donations module over to your already existing accounting module in Church Windows, so that when you post your gifts here in donations, you have the ability to transfer that directly over into accounting. That is going to accomplish a couple of things for you. Number one, primarily, it's going to save you time. You're not going to have to enter all of this information in twice. It's redundant work. You don't need to do it. It's going to ensure 100% accuracy between what you've entered into donations and what you've recorded over in accounting. So save you time, and it's going to guarantee everything is entered in accurately. I would call that a win-win. So you can simply post it into donations by clicking here, or you can post and then immediately transfer it over into accounting by clicking on post and transfer right here. So I'm going to go ahead and post it and transfer it. It's going to tell us the transaction numbers that got entered into donations and the total here. I can print a report right from here. If I say yes, we've got our donations batch report, which is right here. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit here. Would be lovely if I could. The cool thing that we're going to see on here, it's going to show all of our detail for all of the gifts that we've entered into our donations batch. Okay, so that you can keep for your records if you need to. And our beta version here is not allowing me to close my window. Now, that takes us over here to our transfer donations to accounting screen right here. You're going to see a list of all of the dates that you've entered in. Here is that Sunday's date that we've just entered over here. If I click on the little plus sign right here, it's going to show us our linkages over to our chart of accounts in accounting down here at the bottom, where we're depositing the money and where the income is going to be recorded. All I'm going to need to do on here is click on my post button. You're going to see that it's going to transfer straight over to accounting there. So couldn't be easier to transfer it from donations over into accounting there. Alrighty. Now, in our donations module here, when you first convert over from contributions, it's going to take all of your envelope numbers that you currently have set up in contributions and transfer it over here into donations. All of that information will be maintained. Managing all of your giver numbers is done right here. You're going to notice some exciting new features that we have here under Manage Givers. You're going to see a whole series of names on this list where they don't have a giver number associated with them. That's where I was mentioning before, where you don't necessarily need to have envelope numbers assigned to somebody's record in order to track donations for them. So we'll see a series of these folks in here. Now, the other thing here is the Families and Groups tab along the top here, where we have all of the groups that we can track giving for listed on here. As I scroll down my list here, you're going to see some families set up in here. Let me actually scroll right down to a family I know I have set up in here. There's the Huxtable family. You're going to see Mr. and Mrs. Frank Huxtable listed right here. So this is a family that we can track giving for. Now, if I come back over here to individual givers and I go to envelope number 44 here, you're going to see several folks in the same family here. Here's Charlene, here's Doris, and here's Frank. So you can see them in either place here on our Manage Givers window. The upshot of this is that you can track giving for entire families. You can track giving for individuals. You can track giving for groups here in our donations module. And in addition to that, you can choose to use a giver number or not. So this is all exciting new ways you can kind of manage all of your givers here in the donations module. Alrighty, now if I come over here to this manage numbers here, this is where we look at managing our giving numbers over here in donations. This is where I kind of wanted to show you that since we don't have a specific contribution year that we're working with the way we used to, it's just kind of an ongoing donations database that the program is able to keep track of at any given time. What that means is that, go ahead and resort this, it's tracking all of our numbers here, and it's going to give us a range for when they had that number or when they're going to have that number. This allows you to set up when somebody might move away, they're going to give up their particular envelope number. Now all this is going to be for churches that actually uses envelopes to track giving for their members. In other words, they come in, they've got an envelope with their number on it. The member might put a check in there, drop it in a box, etc. So this is the screen where you can manage all of that. You can set up start dates and end dates for when a particular member has a particular envelope number. If you don't set it up with any particular end date, they just get to keep that envelope number, you know, until you change it. But if you can also set up end dates and then reassign that envelope number, and these dates can be set up in the future. You know, so that, for example, at the beginning of 2012, I could come in here and set up end dates for these envelope numbers and create new envelope numbers that start in the 2012 year. Okay. So this is just some of the ways that we manage our givers when the new donations module is going to be available to everybody. Alrighty. Speaking of exciting new features in our donations module here, once this comes out, we're now going to have the ability to import electronic donations. We are currently compatible with a couple of companies, Vanco and Authorize.net. These are two different organizations that help you set up direct transfers, direct deposits, basically, for your members. You can set it up with your members where they do a direct deposit from their bank account directly into yours. These organizations can then give you a file with that records all of the electronic giving that has been run through their service, and then you have the ability to import those donations from that company's file that they send you right here into donations. So the example I'm going to give you is this Vanco file right here. Importing donations from Vanco, basically the way this would work is they would remit a file to you. You would save that file to your desktop or to My Documents or wherever, and then you can import your donations from that file here. Here is a Vanco example right here. Now what happens here is you're going to have a series of ID numbers for givers. You're going to have a series of ID numbers for giving accounts that you set up in donations. And basically you have to draw the map between the way the company identifies these individuals and the way the company identifies these giving accounts, and where that map goes here into Church Windows. Once you draw this map, you never have to look at this stuff again. But let's say, for example, this is going to be Ann Colst for that one. So this is all something that you would set up in advance. And this would be a general pledge. Another cool thing is that throughout the entire program, we have very powerful search boxes in here. So if instead of having to click on down arrows and scroll through lists, you can just type in the name of something and it will go find it for you. So I can come in here. This will be my building pledge right here. This one can be missions. So now once I've set this up and drawn my map from my file, all I need to do is click over here to import. Yes, I want to save my changes. Here's the two dates that are in that file. All I'm going to need to do is click on my Create Donations button right here. Now I can import these two batches into Church Windows. Just highlight the batch. Again, clicking on the plus will show you all the details. Click on Post Batch. Now all of that information is brought directly into donations for us. No more need to double enter this information for our electronic giving that we have with a separate company here. So we're really excited to be able to provide this service to our customers here. Alrighty. So that's importing donations. Again, really excited to be able to bring that to you guys. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at, for all of our pledging churches that use church windows, we have redefined the way we track pledging in church windows. So I'm going to come over here to our Accounts and Pledges tab, click on Pledges right here. There are now two ways we can track pledges here in church windows. The first one is by using campaigns. Now, campaigns are basically set up the same way that pledging is currently set up in our contributions module. So here is, for example, here's our general pledge campaign. You'll see it on our drop-down list. You'll see our start date, the beginning of 2011, and it runs through the end of 2011, December 31st. If I select that, it's now going to give us a list of all the folks who are a member or who is participating in this particular campaign. When you set up a campaign, basically what you're doing is you are setting criteria that any number of your members can pledge to. In this case, if you look at the information at the top of the screen, right up here above that line is where you set all of the properties of your campaign. So in this case, it's pledging to our general pledge giving account. The range of this campaign goes from January 1st, 2011 through the end of 2011. We haven't set up any defaults. You have the ability to set up a default pledge amount if you choose to. Now, if you do set up a default amount and a default frequency for them, in other words, whether it's a weekly pledge or a monthly pledge or a quarterly pledge, for example, that is just going to be the way it is going to be set up by default. You will still have the ability to change those by individual here. It's just an option that you have when you're setting up your campaign. So again, you're going to see on this screen all of the folks who are participating in that campaign listed down the left side of our screen. Adding new givers to your campaign, you simply come up here to the top here. Let's go ahead and add the Huxtable family into here. Now we're entering all of that information. Let's go ahead and say they're going to pledge $100 a month. If I click on my down arrow here, I can define that right here. So here's all of the different types of pledging frequencies that we can set up in here. The reason we have an annual pledge frequency versus a flat pledge frequency in here is because now you're not kind of forced into defining your pledges within a particular calendar year. So if you set up a pledge that goes across a different amount of time, whether that's multiple years or even part of a year, an annual pledge might mean something different than a flat pledge, which basically means this is the amount I'm pledging for the entire range of that pledge. So I'll set that up as a monthly pledge, add that giver to the campaign, and we'll see the Huxtable family listed right here on this line. Okay, so folks who are using contributions are going to be accustomed to kind of the structure of the way this works. We've got our campaigns set up on this tab. If I come over here to pledges though, this is kind of a different way of looking at your pledging here in donations module. Again, you're going to see that we have groups we can set these up for, but if I go ahead and I select an individual here, let's go ahead and do Jeremy Akins here. You're going to see a list of all of the pledges that they have participated in currently or even in the past. Notice here there was his participation in the general pledge back in 2008. You're going to see that on this line here. I can expand that and see all of the details that they had for that pledge. It's going to show us all of the gifts that they gave toward that pledge back when that was going on. So again, this is back in 2008. Here's all of their gifts that we recorded back in 2008. All of that information. Now, you have the ability to display every campaign that somebody ever participated in by default here, but if I only want to see the current campaigns that they're participating in, I can get rid of all their past and future campaigns and only see what they're participating in right now. So again, now we'll see that Jeremy is currently participating in the building pledge, and there's all of their information for that. We have the ability to assign individual pledges to folks on this screen that don't necessarily belong to a larger campaign as well. This is a really cool new feature that we've added in here, and it doesn't kind of lock you in to a set number of campaigns. If one of your members comes to you and says they want to pledge to something unusual, I'm going to pledge to Jeremy comes to you and says, I'm going to pledge to the technology giving to your church. You can set up a separate pledge just for that individual. You don't have to set up an entire campaign for that. I can come in here and say, for the 2011 year from January 1st through the end of 2011. And again, keep in mind, you can set up any date range you want to for this. I can set this up here that Jeremy here is going to pledge $50 per quarter just to giving to our technology fund. Okay, so add that in there. You'll see that added just to that individual. It's not an entire new campaign we've set up, just an individual pledge just for him. So that's a feature that has been requested by some of our customers for years now, and we're very pleased to be able to bring that to you guys with our new donations module. And then, of course, the upshot of this is when you're entering your contributions later, you'll be able to display the pledging that that individual has. You can set it up as to automatically distribute gifts when you're entering donations. If I come back here to donation, here's this giving distribution option right up here. I can set it up that folks can have their gifts automatically distributed according to the way they have pledged. So again, I'm going to take you back to the Enter Donations window and show that to you. Let me make sure I'm set up on this. If I set it up to distribute according to pledge, I can display their pledging right here. Now if I come back over here and enter a gift for Jeremy, you'll see his pledging information show up here at the bottom, including that technology giving. If I set it up that they are giving a $100 check and I hit enter, it's automatically going to distribute it percentage-wise according to how they've pledged. So for our pledging churches, we have all of those abilities to use pledging in these ways here. Alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of there. Now, we've also done a lot of very cool things with browsing our donations that have already been entered into the system here. So I'm going to go to my Donations tab and click on my Browse button here, so we can take a look at the way this screen works here. Let me maximize this so we can see this a little easier. Now, this is a pretty powerful screen. There's a lot you can do on this window here. You're going to see by default it is going to, if I collapse this, you're going to see it's grouping all of the gifts by giver on this screen. So you're going to see the name of the giver listed on here. I can click on the little plus next to their name and it's going to show us a history of all of their giving in here. If I scroll down on my list here, I wanted to show that it's going to show all of the history based on what date range I've set up in here. So you're going to see each gift, the date they contributed that, the amount, etc. As I scroll over here to the right, I wanted to also point out we have a user column here, which means that if you are using usernames and passwords to get access here into Church Windows, any transaction posted into the program is going to have listed which user was logged into the system when that got posted in here. So again, that's part of that audit trail that we're talking about. If I come over here to my filter and sort button up here at the top, you're going to see that we have a whole bunch of options for how we display the screen and what we're going to use this for. I can limit this You'll see by default it's going to be limited to the current calendar year when I come here into this window. So here's our 2011 year. Real easy to display information from prior periods. If I wanted to be able to also display gifts back in 2010, I could change my date range in here. It's going to rebuild my grid again. Now if I can come back down here to the Huxtables here, now you're going to see some 2010 gifts in here. So no longer any need to kind of change your year that you're working in to be able to display that type of information in here. You just kind of change it under filter and sort up here. You can display a particular range of givers based on their number here, limit it to the date occurred, again the way we've seen that here. 2011, January 1st. Why is that not going? January 1st, 2011. Good. Only display which giving account, etc., etc. We have a series of ways we can limit the way we're displaying our grid on this screen. Now, some really cool things happen here when I come to my group and sort button on here. The default way it's going to display this screen is it's going to sort first by giver number, and it's going to group by that field. And when I say group by that field, that's where it shows the little plus next to their name on here. Then it's going to sort within there by donation date. All of this can be edited so you can display the way you want to see this screen. If instead of sorted by giver number on this window, I wanted to see groups of batches on here. So I want to see all of my different contribution batches that I posted separated out by date. Instead of sorting by giver on here, I can click on my down arrow. I can do my donation date on here. Actually, let me go ahead and sort within there by giver number. And then I'll do by donation date that I sort by. Now, if I redo it this way, instead of it grouping by envelope number, it's going to sort by donation date. So here's all of my batches I've posted here, and I'll be able to locate things that way. If I click on there, there's that batch from January 16th, 2011. So real easy to locate what you're looking for on this screen. Now, on this window, let's say that, for example, we do our donation, we get a notice, we've entered our donations into the system, we get our bank statement back from our bank, and we notice that our amount that we entered here into Church Windows doesn't match our what was actually deposited in the bank. Real easy to correct things on here. If I need to correct my loose plate money in here, it should have been $95.42. I simply highlight the line on here, I click on the correct button at the top, and it will allow us to change that. 95.42. Now, a little thing you need to kind of keep in mind here is the amount of that gift should match the amount of each line down here at the bottom. So fixing both of those so that the amounts match is going to make life a little easier on here. So now if I save that donation on here, I can only save it just to donations, or I can save it and then transfer it directly over into accounting by clicking here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Save Donation here. It's going to give you a message. This is new here. The corrections required that the transaction be reversed and re-entered. You've got a new transaction number. So now when I go ahead and expand that, you'll see the new number right on here. I'm not displaying reversed transactions on my screen right here. So all you're seeing in this view is the new amount. However, if I wanted to take a look at the books here for auditing purposes, I can simply come over here to filter and sort. I can show reverse transactions by clicking on this checkbox right here. When I do that, now I look at this and I'm going to see the correcting entries in here. So we see the original 85.42, the correcting entry here, and there's the new thing on here. And again, if we had folks logged in using usernames and password, you'd see who did that right over here on the right side. So a lot of very powerful tools available to us here with our transaction browser. You have the ability to print from this screen as well if you want to print a transaction style report right here from this window by clicking on print donations here. We will take a look at our reporting, and we can take a look at it right now. If I come over here to filter and sort, let's go ahead and limit this to just giving to the general pledge. That's just fine. Let's do it for the first quarter of this year, January 1st, 2011 through March 31st, 2011. Let me go ahead and, yeah, that'll be fine. Display that right here. I can click on print donations. And here is our donation date. If it lets me zoom in here, good, there we go. You'll see it grouped by donation date, the way we had it on there. Okay, so you'll see the grouped by donation date listed right here. You'll see all of the details of that batch listed under here, so it's also a reporting tool that you have available to you right here. All right, back to our regularly scheduled programming here. We, in addition to correcting transactions that you see on here, in addition to printing reports from this screen here, you also have the ability to simply reverse transactions. So if you have a non-sufficient funds check that comes through here, we also have the ability to reverse transactions on this screen as well. You have options for how you're going to reverse that. You can have it reverse that back to the date of the original transaction, which basically means that makes it so that it never happened, you know, is basically the way that works. You can reverse it as of a different date so that you know, if you had printed reports prior to reversing that transaction, you're not going to be invalidating those reports. You can date the reversal on a different date than the original transaction. Okay, so you have that on there as well. All right, very good, very good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the single most important report that you're going to print out of Church Windows. In my opinion, the most important report in the entire program is our donation statement report. The donation statement is the primary way that you're going to communicate with your members with how they're doing on their donations. Pledging churches also use this report to keep up with to communicate with their members for how they're doing on their pledging. So let's go ahead and take a look at our donation statement. Again, some very cool new things that we have available to us in here. When you first open this report up, it's going to ask you what date range you want to print this report for. It defaults to the current calendar year. You would use this in the case of printing your end of year tax statements. So I'll go ahead and do this for the entire year. When you do this, it's going to by default, everybody that has giving in your system or has an envelope in your system here is going to show up as printing this donation statement for them. We have made this report even more customizable than it ever was before. We have a statement designer now. So if this gives you precise control over the way you want your donation statement to appear. So let's take a quick peek at our statement designer here. What we're looking, okay, take a moment here. What are we looking at? What we're looking at on this window is a sample page here, and it gives you have a series of things that you can add to that statement over here on the right side of the screen. This allows you to move fields around on your page. So I can take this field, I can move it up a little bit to adjust the way my report is going to look. I can add additional fields on here. I can show account summary views. I can show detail transactional type views on my report on here. And I have the ability to control where all of this appears on my report, how I want it formatted. I have the reins here. I can have this appear however I want it to appear. Now the program is going to ship with at least, let me go ahead and close out of there and not save my layout. The program is going to come with a couple of formats already set up for you. We're going to have a trifold mailer type format. They sell these trifold mailers at like office supply stores. I'm sure you've gotten bills in the mail and things like that for this, where it's a single piece of paper folded over in thirds. It's all attached along the sides and you tear off the edges there, and then you can unfold it and see the information in the middle there. We also have a windowed envelope format. You can fold it up and stuff it in an envelope. This is a commonly used one, this windowed envelope format here. So if these two sort of out of the can formats don't suit your purposes here, you have the ability to design your own. We all know the 7 most powerful words in any church organization are the way that it has always been done. So if you can't get this donation statement to look the way you want it to look before, now you'll have that ability. Alrighty. We can the other thing to point out here on the statement designer here, you can add your own logo to it, to that statement there. You know, you can add watermarks to your statement there. There's a whole lot of very cool functions that you can add through there. Now, if I come over here to my Filter Givers tab here, this is where you kind of limit what you're going to print on your donation, which givers you're going to print donation statements for. Now in my first example here, we're doing our end of year tax statements. So I might want to come in here and limit which givers I'm going to print my donation statement for. For my end of year tax statements, I don't need to print statements for folks who haven't given me anything. There's no point to that. So I'm going to go ahead and limit this to just givers who have given me $50 or more on here. And then that will kind of automatically change the folks who I'm giving this to. Now let's go ahead and take a look at it. If I come over here to print statements, there we go. Here is our giving statement that we can generate. Allow me to zoom in. So here is our sample church information up here, our address information, the member's address information on here, the total given, which is tax deductible, the total given, which is non-tax deductible, which is another new feature here. You can mark giving accounts as either being tax deductible or not being tax deductible, and it can still print your statement and show that difference on your statement here. So here is our detail view right down through here. You'll see the dates of all of the gifts listed through here. Oops, boy, I scrolled way too far there. The dates of all the gifts listed down through here, the giving account and the amount here, check numbers if appropriate here. We'll see a summary by account view down here at the bottom. The frequency of their pledge, the amount of their pledge, how much they've actually given to it, the amount over under listed through here. We also can include the IRS required. The only benefits provided are intangible religious services. Again, required by the IRS for our end of year tax statements. All right, now you can granularly also, for the first time ever, control which accounts appear on your donation statement here as well. This is something that we're very pleased to be able to add to this one, where you can control on a donation statement by donation statement basis what accounts you want to appear on there. So very cool thing that we've been able to add through here. All right. I can change my date range by clicking here. If I want to do a quarterly type donation statement, I can do that very easily here. And to do this type of a thing, all we would do is come to Filter Givers and say, I only want to print this for folks who have pledged. So this one would be more of the type of thing where I'm just keeping my members up to date with how they are doing on their pledging. Gee, if only there were something exciting I could show you more on this screen. And there is. Now we have the ability, when we're printing our donation statements on here, I can print this series of donation statement by clicking on print statements right here. Then for that same group of statements that I've printed out of here, I can now, have you guys noticed this little button down here? Print labels right here out of here, this same screen as well. So I print these donation statements for my members. I can come over here, click on labels. We'll have a series of label layouts that are available. If I click on my down arrow, actually, let's see. I can do new labels, and I do want to show you that we have a ton of different label formats that are available right now. So really much more expanded than it ever was, the ability to include any type of label that you might have and that you want to print to. So all of these different companies, not just Avery, all of these different types of formats in here. Okay, tons of them. You'll see all of the label information based in here. So we're going to do our Avery Standard 5160 for this. All I do is click print, and there's my labels for all of those giving statements, donation statements that I just printed out there. All right. By the end of this year, we are also going to have the ability. Now, when version 15 first comes out, this feature is not going to be included, but by the end of the year, I'm told we're going to have an emailing feature built into the donations program, which is going to allow us also, if we are tracking email addresses for our members here in the donations program, we'll be able to click and it will be able to format and send emails to all of our members for us automatically in here. You have to be using Microsoft Outlook to handle your emails. In other words, you can't be going out to the internet like gmail.com or mail.yahoo.com and logging in remotely. You have to have that program installed locally on your computer. But we will have the ability, I'm told, by the end of the year to be able to send emails with their donation statement attached to it to your members that you're tracking email addresses for. So exciting features to come with our donation statements in here. All right. We are rapidly running out of time here for our donations webinar. I do want to point out that all of our reports that we had in contributions, we still have them here in donations. The difference here is they are a lot more flexible than they have ever been before. Now let's just do a donations log report here. Actually, that one we already kind of looked at because this is the same report we get from our transaction browser. Let's take a look at a simple. Notice we have a labels report listed right here as well. If we just look at our list of giver numbers report right here, we can do this list of all of our giver numbers on here. Notice the tabs we have along the top. Now these are going to be available for every single report we print out of donations now. We have the ability to control what columns we're actually going to print on it. This isn't the best example because there's only a few that are available for this report, but every single report we can print out of donations gives you the ability to control what columns are going to appear on it, the order in which they appear on that report as well. So this particular one gives us sorting options in here as well. There's going to be a ton of options to every single report that you're going to print out. Let's go ahead and take a look at a pledge giving analysis. This will be a better example of a report that we have a ton of different columns that we can print here. Not only do we control that type of ability, that type of content with all of our reports here, we can either print it or we can export this report, and this goes for every single report we have in donations. We have a full suite of exporting options available. If I come over here to my export document and click on my little down arrow, just take a look at all of the formats we have available to us. I can export this document as a PDF file, HTML file, which is a website type of a file, Excel files, export all of this information directly into an Excel spreadsheet, comma separated values, etc. Image files, this will create a bitmap. So all of these reports right here from our donations program, I can export them into these formats. So here's our PDF, and we can save that PDF in here. You'll of course have to have Adobe Acrobat Reader or a similar program to be able to read these PDFs, which I don't think I have installed on this machine here. So if I clicked yes, it would open up my PDF. We'd be able to display that in here. You can also send emails if you have a emailing program set up in your system here. So all of these things we're going to have available to us in the donations program. We're really excited about this. I really think you guys are going to enjoy it when you get your hands on it and roll your sleeves up and really dig in. So it is with great pride that I present all of this to you guys. That is all the material I have for us today. And again, I would like to thank you guys for being here with us today, and have a good afternoon, have a good morning out there. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you with version 15 on down the road.